corporate name and logo.
We're sorry. You have reached a number that has been disconnected or is no longer in service. If you feel you have reached this recording in error, please check the number and try your call again. We're sorry. You have reached a number that has been disconnected or is no longer in service. If you feel you have reached this recording in error, please check the number and try your call again.
They still on the fiat hustle and the bustle. Got cats in the bag like ruffles, airtight. Use fair fright, martial law hype. If you get behind bars, they won't send a kite. Still no answer, no email, no tweeting. I will get mad, but not even. Get wise with the quickness, ability, quickly nimble. Won't stumble or tremble. Finding out I got played like cymbals. Dirty Moors selling you your own Morris symbols and crystals. No different than trees and reeds and toes missile. Drew Ali said study, 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 so you don't get enslaved or played by your own buddy. Giving money to a gold digging dummy. State hopping dirty Moors, rob you out your dirty drawers. Souls perfect in fools' bodies. Setting up a PayPal, smiling broadly. Those types don't even know what's coming. Cause when I see them, it's expose time, no running, no gunning. I was told get wise. Dirty people giving weasel evil eyes. Picking up the cell to call. I get nervous cause I know what's up after I heard this.
We're sorry. You have reached a number that has been disconnected or is no longer in service. If you feel you have reached this recording in error, please check the number and try your call again. We're sorry. You have reached a number that has been disconnected or is no longer in service. If you feel you have reached this recording in error, please check the number and try your call again.
But you not as citizen.
We're just here building, yo. How you doing?
A citizen of American
I'm doing good. I'm doing real good. I'm on my phone. Let me turn you up.
So is that not?
Yeah, I'm doing good, man.
Proper.
Yo.
As an individual, owns his sole allegiance to the United States, but it's not a citizen. It's national. So I have
Yeah.
Yeah, more.
So this is the next. We're outside of this part.
I was going over, what is it? RV notifications.
Yeah.
Get over here.
And I just realized that website has a lot of information in it.
Yeah, they're full over there.
Yeah.
They're full over there.
Yo, is it possible? Do you guys have the Circle 7 Quran on PDF?
If you go to if you Google Circle 7 Quran,
Right.
a website's gonna come up called Hermetica or something like that. It's on
Right.
that website.
So what this is?
It should be Hakeem Bey's website.
Okay.
It's still de facto.
This is the.
Hey, check this out.
The Americans.
Say we got, we get our nationality card,
We're
right?
not worried about the American Samoa.
How would that affect
Because it's
us
still part of
if they go about this Rex
But it's
84?
a jurisdictional.
How would it affect you?
That's
Yeah.
All right, hold on. Let's
So
get
it's just another name. It's like saying a U.S. citizen.
What's up?
Time.
Oh, it is? Okay. No problem.
All right. And
Let me
also
introduce
too,
myself.
Also too,
Peace, Mar.
feel free to jump in too.
I'm Mario B over here. How you doing, bro?
I'm doing all right, brother Andre
Peace,
in
peace.
Florida.
All right.
Islam.
Yeah.
Omar Sharif. All day.
Hey, brother, I'm Andre in Florida. Right? It's cold up there.
Ah!
Yeah,
Don't ask,
we
man.
getting a little something.
It's like what, 70-something degrees out here, man.
Stop it, man. Stop it, man.
You're teasing, yo. You're teasing.
Yeah. It's nothing but sunshine and heat here.
For real.
Yeah.
We'll be there. We'll be there soon.
Okay.
We got a couple months. We got a couple months still before we get some of that.
Okay.
Okay, so Rex 84 or King Alfred
Right.
Plan. There's a section in here called Preliminary Memo, Department of Defense.
Okay.
Right? So it says this memo is being submitted in lieu of a full report from the Joint Chiefs of Staff. The report is now in preparation. There will be many cities where the minority will be able to put into the streets a superior number of people with a desperate and dangerous will. He will be a formidable enemy For he is bound to the continent by heritage, and knows that political asylum will not be available to him in other countries. The greatest concentration of the minority is in the deep south, eastern seaboard, and Great Lakes region, and the west coast. Right, so when we proclaim our nationality, what we're doing is we're affirming and confirming what they already know about us, that we're bound to this continent by heritage.
Right.
Right, so if we're bound to the continent by heritage, then that puts us in the status of Aboriginal and Indigenous.
Right.
So the Rex 84 wouldn't apply to us unless we agree to be the minority.
Right.
Right.
So this claiming your nationality, it basically puts you in the know all around. Like
Right.
you protect it, even though they know that we are bound to this place by heritage. This is us.
Right.
We have no place to go.
Exactly.
So they still imposters operating on stolen ground.
Right. But if we don't address them as that, if we address them, because like we're talking right now, we're talking about Barack and how everybody's fighting him about being a U.S. citizen, but nobody's talking about him being American. Because if they talk about him being American, then that gives up who the Americans really look like, and that the Americans aren't really Europeans.
That's deep.
Right.
That's real deep.
So once we proclaim our nationality, our position, well, once we proclaim our nationality, our position turns into us being the real Americans. And then the people who are faking that they're Americans, either they're gonna continue calling themselves Americans because we don't say anything, right? Or we say something and call them out for not calling themselves what they are.
Right.
Which is that they're foreigners, they're immigrants.
Right.
But if we're gonna fight, you know, Mexicans or whatever about being immigrants,
Right.
but we're not gonna fight the European about you being immigrants.
Right. You gotta fight them.
Right. This is where the issue comes in, because the Mexicans, that's our brothers and sisters,
Right.
because they're indigenous here too.
Hey, brother, let me ask you a question. Are we all going to, are the Moors going to stand up and really defend? Because it's new to me. I'm trying to retain as much information as I can. And from what I'm seeing, it seems like it's mandatory to put the powers that be in check. And I mean, we got some brothers, and the Moors have this knowledge.
Right.
And I'm, if it's top secret, I'm cool with that. But I know something has to change.
No, it's not top secret.
Right.
That's how certain Moors might put it.
Right.
Because they want you to be under their club or group or whatever, so they can put you in slavery again. But it's not a secret. It's mandatory that we put them in check.
And it's gonna happen.
Yeah, I mean, also too, because we're the only ones that can put them in check. Nobody else can, because remember, King Alfred's clan, we're the ones bound to this continent by heritage. Right? Chinese aren't bound to this continent by heritage. Yeah, they have a connection here, but they're not bound here. They can go back to China if they want to.
Right.
Right? Political asylum is available to them in other places. Right? Like that's why you have Asians right now, Chinese people, whoever, claiming mines in South Africa. Like they're going to South Africa and they're claiming mines. And they're getting diamonds and gold and whatever out of it and going back to China with it. And the Africans can't stop them from doing that.
Why, they got no power?
No, because Africa is really South Asia.
That makes sense.
But if they're gonna call it Africa, which is a fraud, because that place is called Africa. And then Asians are gonna say, well, you know, we recognize that as South Asia, right? Then they can go there and claim whatever it is that they want, because that's South Asia.
Right. But they can't do that here.
Yeah,
Neither the Europeans.
Right,
Because they know that a majority of people know who they are.
right. They're not bound here. There's it's like where it says bound to this continent by heritage, and knows that
Right.
political asylum will not be available to him in other countries.
So even if a Moor, not knowing that he's a Moor, even if he tries to escape to go to another country, when it all hits the fan, they're gonna send him back here.
Exactly. no matter where they go, because
They gonna send him back
you're
here.
gonna send them back. Because remember, majority of the people on the planet, they already know this information.
I just wanted to interrupt. I heard you just say that they can't do that here because we know who we are. No, that's not the case. 90% of us think we're black, colored, or Canadian, or U.S.S. citizens. So that is the problem here. The European right now is running a fraud and taking our stuff. So
Okay.
that is what we're trying to do. We're trying to wake everyone up. We don't know. That's why they're here on the land doing what they're doing, because we aren't aware. This is what this whole movement is about. So when you made that statement, I just picked up on that, because you were trying to say that's why they're not doing it here. They are doing that here. They've been doing that. We're now slowly waking up.
So when we wake up fully, it's gonna be impossible for them to do anything here. So is it safer to be here or any place else? It's safer to be here.
Yeah, that's why everybody else is coming here, leaving where they live.
Where is this brother at?
On Florida,
So he knows.
right? That's why everybody's leaving where they are, and they're coming here for a better life, you know, whatever. Because everybody knows that this is where it's at. This is the Garden of Eden. It's not over there.
That makes sense. Okay, that makes a lot of sense.
Right?
Yeah, I gotta get my hands on that Circle 7 Quran. I downloaded some from the RV Bay publications.
Yeah.
I downloaded some. I gotta take the test. I'm ready to take the test
Right.
because I know it's mandatory to have that information when you have that car. When I get in it, I want to be active,
Yeah.
and I want to know what I can do down here.
Well, the test is for you.
Okay,
The test isn't, RVB is not going to be marking your test,
okay,
right? The test is for you.
okay.
It's not like a driving test where you take the test and if you pass or fail depends if you get something.
But I know that the test is for my information, and it's good because I didn't know where to start. And I got I heard one of the clips from Canaanland, and he started giving out some websites. I went to the websites and I said, okay, what to study,
Right.
very good. This.
Right.
And I'm learning as I go. I'm gonna go ahead and know my stuff off so I can get that card and I can take it from there. My lady friend, she got 2 young boys, and it's kind of crazy because the information that I'm getting from them, I'm telling them, I say, you're not black. And he says, what do you mean? I said, let's get a dictionary. So when they got the dictionary, when they got another dictionary with synonyms and everything of that nature, and started breaking it down to him. He says, yeah, it makes a lot of sense. He went to school and he was telling everybody, yo, I'm not this, I'm not that, I'm more. He's standing up.
Yeah.
And then his mom was telling me, he said, yo, don't be telling him this because, is he gonna make him look crazy in school? I said, how is he gonna make him look crazy in school if he know how to go to the dictionary and break it down how I showed him?
Right.
And then when I picked him up from the little daycare thing, I said, I had to step back and say, man, congratulations, man. You to be so young, you actually standing up.
Right.
And you letting people know what's going on. I said, I can work with you.
Right.
I'm gonna lead you.
But this is why Noble Drew Ali said it's about the young and unborn.
Yeah.
Because, Noble Drew Ali said, Moors are hard-headed, stiff-necked people.
We haven't done anything but at the
And
point of the sword.
they only learn at the point of a sword.
Mm-hmm.
or we only learn from pain.
Mm-hmm.
So
You're absolutely right.
Yeah, so for our people, it's not going to be until they get a ticket or IRS comes at them or something that they're going to get on this.
Mm-hmm.
They're not just going to get on this because it's the natural thing to do or the logical thing to do, or they studied something or heard something and researched it and realized what this is. They're going to have to get, Europeans going to have to kick their ass or something before they say, okay, what's nationality about?
Right.
And hopefully, it's not going to be too late at that time.
Right.
Because Europeans, in King Alfred plan again, the Europeans ass kicking is, we suggest that vaporization techniques be employed to overcome the production problems inherent in King Alfred.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
So the production problem is that if they do like what Hitler did, there's going to be evidence of mass genocide. But if they vaporize people, there's no evidence.
That makes a lot of sense. Me and my cousin was talking about this 2 weeks ago, man, and it came to me clear as this came to me just so clear. Yo, it seemed as if they are perfecting everything, even if it was from prisoners of war to Hitler in the concentration camps. It seemed like it was trial runs.
Right.
And just like we were talking about Rex 84, it's like it's happening all over again.
Right.
And I was talking to him about what's going on in Revelation, how it's talking about the mark of the beast. I'm like saying, come on. And I just saw the movie 12 Years a Slave. And I read the Christian color codes. I'm like saying, isn't it something? They have to have a badge around them. Or like if they were selling fruits or vegetables in the stand, you have to have some kind of indication to say that he's a good slave.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? Pledging some form of allegiance to a master. And I'm like, yo, everybody's saying this, everybody's saying that. But I'm looking at the facts, and the facts is what goes around comes around.
Right.
And if they talk about this Rex 84 thing, and then they talking about this in Revelation, and it's like, yo, something to the caliber of what happened in the concentration camps is going to happen again.
Yeah.
And it's like, yo,
And just
I
like
don't
you're
really
saying,
think nobody's going to be safe.
right? Well, just like you're saying, test runs, right?
Mm-hmm.
So all of the people who are classified as Negro, black, colored, whatever, right? Majority of those people live in the ghetto.
Right.
And then when you do your research on Hitler in Germany, the ghetto was the place where they sent the Jews before they sent them to the oven.
Damn.
Right? So they already got them checkmated.
Right.
But if our people don't take the position of, like El Haj said, Malik Al-Shabazz said, if you're gonna, only a fool would let the enemy teach his children.
Mm-hmm.
So we got lots of fools out there, because they don't even do a deprogramming for their children at home after they leave those institutions called school. The Jews do it. The Jews got Saturday school, Sunday school, whatever. Chinese got Saturday school, Sunday school. Turks, whoever, everybody except our people have weekend school. Where they use that to deprogram. They use the weekend school to deprogram the children of all whatever they got in the week.
Another thing too, we had learned that basically the Chinese, they don't get the same history lesson that we get. They don't hear about the fact that Christopher Columbus came over here. They know a different history. Their families tell them a different thing. We're the only set of people who end up allowing our oppressor to tell us the story, his story, right?
Right.
So that's part of it too. They have a different story, right? Or they have a different history.
Hey, Bakuja,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying here, brother? I'm just trying to figure out how did it happen? How how did this get so far with nobody that's like saying, wait, yo, what's
I asked
so three of them? You know what I'm saying? Like how did this happen? I'm puzzled.
Well, I think it started when we started drinking from those black fountains over there. And going to the back of the bus to sit down and stuff like that, instead of just walking where we're supposed to go.
I'm saying before this. I'm saying on the plantations, all of them together. I mean, tell me there was no form of unity saying let's overrun this, let's burn this place down. I mean, why no revolt?
Well, I mean, there was some revolts, but you know there wasn't enough to have any impact on the institution of slavery. You know, because remember, majority of the people who were in slavery were indigenous people.
Right.
That had a culture already.
Right.
We didn't lose any culture. We started calling ourselves something that doesn't have any culture attached to it.
Right. That's so cool, man, because the more I'm getting into it, the more I'm reading the Declaration of Independence. I went out and got it. I went out and got one of these books. What they call it? What is it? The Dummies.
Yeah.
Easy.
Yeah.
I went, you should see me write everything down because it makes so much sense. It's like, really? And now that I'm really trying to get it down. Her brother, what's his brother name? Brother Tariq. How he always talk about. Let me see if I get it right. Etymology.
Yeah, etymology.
Breaking words down. And I'm listening to how people, with the speeches, like how the president give their speeches. I'm like, it makes perfect sense. I'm understanding everything this guy's saying before. If he didn't, I give a speech, I change the channel, but now I'm listening. I'm like, oh, breaking down the codes, all about the words. I'm like, it makes so much sense.
Right.
It makes perfect sense.
Right.
And it's so easy. It's easy. And when the boy come from school, the same thing you said, I put him to that little deprogramming thing. Hey, listen, this. I mean, I'm about to get him started on learning the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution.
Right.
Trying to teach him right now. And let him show in the law dictionary, this is your status, this is how they see you gotta understand. Gotta handle yourself. It's all about your words, etc., etc.
Yeah.
I gotta do it, man. I'm obligated.
Yeah, and they're more open to truth than adults.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
You know, majority of adults, beat their children into submission to the state or to the European ideals or whatever like that. You know, they think that because they're children, you can't drop it on them. You know, they're more open and receptive than adults.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't have to really hold back with them.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like there's some brothers in I think in Chicago that they do homeschooling, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I was watching one of their classes, and a little brother, maybe about 7-8 years old, came up and he knew every capital of every African country.
Yeah.
And Asian country, and European country, and North American, South American country.
Yeah.
7 years old, yeah.
Be done.
Right? You know?
It can be done.
It could be done. It could be done.
Yo, brother, I'm ready, man. Like I said, something gotta be done. No, you can't. There's too much injustice going on around here, man. I was asking myself this question. I said, man, okay, Andre, when you get all this knowledge, when you get all this information, man, what you gonna do with it?
What you gonna do with it?
Yeah. I gotta do something with it.
Exactly.
I mean, you gotta teach it. If you see somebody wrong, I gotta do it. Even how they say the Son of God in the Bible, when he walked the earth, it's like, you should. And if you really read the Bible, he did declare his nationality. He went before the judge. He handled himself good.
Yep.
If you sit back, if you just read how he was in front of Pontius Pilate, it was like, yo, he was saying everything that the prophet was saying. He was this coincide with everything. It was like he knew the law. He knew how to handle the chief priest or the lawyers at that time.
Yep.
He was handling them on their level. He was handling the king on their level, and he was handling the peasants on their level. It's like the brother knew everything. He had an answer for everything. And if you understand law, you have an answer for everything because, hey, this is your language. I'm speaking your language now.
Right.
You understand me? I understand you now. It makes sense. You gotta keep an eye on this guy because this guy's sharp. You see what I'm saying? Now he's shining.
Or assassinate him.
Yo, I'm bracing myself for that too. It's coming.
But we're like commoners though. You know what I mean? We just study what the prophets brought. We're not really a threat like that. You know, but just like you're saying, everything that you know the quote unquote Son of God did was really what Moors are doing right now. The exact same thing. You know what I mean? Standing up on birthrights. Not only standing up on birthrights, but you know, recognizing that he was a descendant of Ruth, who was a Moabite. And the Moors are Moabites. You know, that's our ancient name. Our modern name is Moors, Moroccans. So he's directly tied to us. You know, that's why Noble Drew Ali could call himself the prophet.
That makes sense. It makes a lot of sense.
And it's not a thing of you know, worshiping him or nothing like that, but that's what it is.
Oh, I think to clarify that too, I think there's another part where it talks about, it says, what I do, every one of you is going to do. So basically, he was just the template for what we should all do, right? So he wasn't doing anything special. He was just doing what he should do, which is what we should all do. So ultimately, they make it seem as if he's something separate from us. But we are just supposed to step into what he was doing, or as an example, and become him.
Right.
I think that.
Right.
Well, simple. It's simple.
Very.
But what they've done is they've disconnected us from that to then make it seem as if, and then they've made him white, i.e. white, and then we're supposed to, and then what happens, we then disconnect in our mind from who we are and make them the God.
Right. That makes sense.
Yeah.
It's over there.
So for Negro black colored people, or so-called Negro black colored people, the Son of God is really the European nations, not the individuals. Right?
Right.
Like their God is the European.
Right.
So
I hear that.
Yeah, so being that that's their God, they're gonna do everything to uphold him.
Right.
Including giving him their title of white and them accepting his title as black.
It's crazy. You're right. Everybody know about us.
Exactly.
That's gonna change, man.
And we need to get knowing. But the only way that our people are gonna get knowing is if Moors step up and start putting out information.
Listen, I'm here in Florida, I'm gonna do what I gotta do.
Got to.
It's mandatory.
Got to. You know, and I mean, you know, we know that we're doing the work that has to be done because we're getting calls from Florida. You know what I mean? We're getting calls from the Netherlands and the UK, and the brother called us today from Chicago. You know, just on some info, just on, you know, trying to get some info. Because he can't find anything where he's at.
Man, listen. I'm gonna do what I gotta do. I gotta be active. I'm gonna be active with it.
Most definitely.
That's all. It's like we do too much talking, and I myself, do a lot of talking, there's action, man. So I gotta do it.
Yeah, but I mean, you know, like, but activity has nothing to do with us facing up to Europeans or whatever. You know what I mean? Activity has to do with us going out there and redeeming our people.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Get my people.
Yeah. You know, just like you're doing with little brother. That's more active than many Moors. There are some Moors that don't even do that.
wants.
They don't even pull a little brother and
Pick one.
drop some
That's
jewels
it.
on him.
Which one do you want?
Right.
With regard to this information, you know,
Right.
they'll drop some jewels on some hip hop or origin of hip hop, or you know, some we came from Africa or we built the pyramids or whatever like that. But like what you're talking about with status and you know, who are you, and you know, you can't call yourself black. Here's documentation, why, and all that, so that they know. You know, if we would even take that approach, forget trying to wake up older people, right?
Gotta get the kids,
Just
man.
go get the young people. And it's a reoccurring learning curve with us, because just like you said, we're gonna go get the kids, but a kid is a baby goat, right? So as soon as if we're gonna tell them that you're not Negro, black, colored, but then we're gonna call them kids, we just put them back into slavery again.
True. Heard that before.
You know what I mean?
Oh, and the last
Yeah.
thing, not the last thing, but another thing too, words are spells, right? So
Right.
that's where when he was talking about using the word kid and things like that, that all puts you into these jurisdictions. So that's where etymology and all of that stuff becomes absolutely important, because you're casting spells with your words.
Right.
Hence, words being put together is called spelling.
Right.
But that's really a ritual. It's not really putting words together,
Islam, man.
right?
Right.
It's not really putting words together. It's really rituals.
Right.
And also, yeah, really rituals,
That makes sense.
right?
That makes a lot of sense.
Also, too, if you go on RV Bay as well, they have the a lot of the books and stuff like that too. They got the Quran and all that on RV Bay.
I'm going over there right now.
Yeah. So if you go on RV Bay, just go to the order section or whatever, and you'll see the books and everything else that they got. Listen,
All right. Do that.
I'm good. Yeah.
Do that.
Yeah. What else you got going on? You got anything else that's on your mind?
That's it right now, brother.
All right.
Believe me, the more I read, the more I'm gonna have questions.
All right. Yeah, man. Just
All right.
continue to plug away, and we're here whenever you're ready. We're here,
That's what's up, brother.
right?
All right, brother. It's on.
Yo, good building with you, fam.
Islam,
We're
or
building with you too,
Yeah.
man. We're gonna build some more, man. Trust me.
For sure. We'll do that.
All right.
All right. Peace.
Islam.
Islam.
Alright, peace, more.
Hey, brother. All right.
Anything I was gonna ask?
Oh, you got something? Let him.
Well, I was going to ask you, Cujo, in regards to and us building on the Constitution itself right now. My question is, there's the divine Constitution, there's the Zodiac Constitution, and then there's a Constitution for the United States of America. Could we break down which constitution pertains to who and why these constitutions pertains to that? Like, for instance, like the divine constitution. Is that constitution for all Moorish Americans in the temple as opposed to being out there, or is that the Zodiac Constitution?
All right. So we'll say domestic, spiritual,
Okay.
national.
Right.
Okay.
Is there not a Moorish constitution too, or is that the same?
That's
Yeah,
no.
I thought there was a.
No, that's the divine constitution,
I
isn't
thought
it?
there was a Moorish divine.
Divine Constitution would be
That
what
one.
we got.
The seven.
The divine Constitution and bylaws.
Divine constitution and
This is the Morse Great Seal and Morse bylaw?
That one, the Great Seal, Morse bylaws, that's separate.
But what, you keep pointing up there, what is it that I'm missing that?
The 7 articles.
Oh, those 7 articles, do we have that in a,
There's cups in,
Huh?
there should be cups inside.
do we have that,
Yeah, right here.
can I,
You have this one there? Right, yeah, so the domestic constitution is what we're using for ourselves to get ourselves in order. Right? For us to get ourselves in order, we have the divine constitution. Right? And remember that the Constitution of the United States the Constitution of the United States is divine and natural law.
say that one last part again?
The Constitution of the United States of America, Republic, is divine law and natural law. Right? So with Noble Jawali saying this is divine and national movement, he was tying us to...
But I was understanding that divine meant natural too, or is that one and the same, or is divine more spiritual in a sense? So, because I take it to
Check,
be
is it, see, check see if it's in there?
Which one?
Which one are you looking? Which one?
divine.
Define?
Divine?
I'm gonna take it?
Natural.
I thought
Well, I
divine
have
meant
it. Which
natural. I was trying to look for divine, I was asking you, because
Oh,
I thought
okay,
divine
okay.
meant natural.
Well, that's...
Yeah, let's look and see so we're sure what it is. Remember the idea, ultimately,
This seems to
Noble
be,
Jawali was bringing us back into the constitutional fold.
I realize I've read this before, this looks to me much more of the temple constitution.
Yeah.
Well, that's the
Yeah, that's what
domestic.
it is. Yeah, domestic.
Right.
That's one.
The constitution for the Moors to get themselves in order.
Yeah.
And then once we get ourselves in order with that, now we can go to the
Because it's
to the
interesting,
national constitution and use that.
because it says here in Act 4, all citizens must preserve these holy and divine laws, and all citizens must obey the laws of the government, because by being a Moorish American, you're part and parcel of the government, and must live the life accordingly.
Right.
So that would be then connecting to this constitution.
So in terms of the divine, it's like basically, it's a divine laws. It says those ascribed to God. So the laws that ascribes to God, or then there's the
Right. And then we know that when these people that drafted this say God, right?
I was just returning.
Oh, but what's interesting, okay, in his it says, those ascribed to God, and then it says, see natural laws.
Right.
So,
Because they are relative. There is a relation between natural law and divine law. But the laws ascribed to God, you know, they also apply to certain people who are on that frequency of God.
yeah.
Not just the supreme being or something coming from the supreme being.
Okay, well, do you want to read natural law though too?
Yeah.
Natural law, the expression natural law or jus naturale was largely used in the philosophical speculations of the Roman jurists of the Antonian age and was intended to denote a system of rules and principles for the guidance of human conduct which independently of enacted law or of the system peculiar to any one people might be might be discovered by the rational intelligence of man and would be found to grow out of and conform to his nature, meaning by that word his whole mental, moral, and physical constitution. The point of departure for this conception was the Stoic doctrine of a life ordered according to nature, which in its turn rested upon the purely supposititious existence in primitive times of a state of nature. That is a condition of society in which man universally was governed solely by a rational and consistent obedience to the needs, impulses, and prompting of their true nature, such nature being as yet undefaced by dishonesty, falsehood, or indulgence of the baser passions. I know that was sort of long-winded, but it seems to me to be just the natural existence between people before we got into being dishonest, right? False.
So that's why.
In ethics, it consists in practical universal judgments which man himself elicits. These express necessary and obligatory rules of human conduct which have been established by the author of human nature as essential to the divine purpose in the universe and have been promulgated by God solely through human reason.
Right, so that's why the Declaration of Independence says that we hold these truths
To be self-evident.
to be self-evident,
Right.
that all men are created equal.
Okay,
This
so
is
there's
talking about going back to that ideal before we fell to the
okay, so
lower
here's a
nature.
question. When did the Declaration of Independence, because I mean, I'm
I have it. You have it there?
1776.
so that was after the Constitution,
That was
That
before.
was before.
before the Constitution.
Because that's
Those are things that set up the Constitution.
Because there's this treaty 17 what? 74?
76.
1776?
knock yourself up.
Yeah.
This was the and then there was something
Don't forget,
before
yeah,
that too, right?
Before that, yeah.
Okay, 1776, Declaration of
And
Independence.
then Articles of Confederation.
Articles of Confederation,
Right.
then the
then
Constitution.
Constitution.
And along with the Constitution was the Treaty of Peace and Friendship.
Right. Which was before all that other stuff. Because they had to even the playing field before they can even declare themselves independent. They had to prove, right? They had to prove that they were worthy.
This is European.
The European. And the only way that they can get recognition is if they get recognized by whoever's land this is.
Now, I saw that somewhere. I think I have one of these pamphlets too. The Treaty of Morocco. Was that before?
Treaty of Morocco? Well, that is between Morocco. That's the Treaty of Peace and Friendship.
Was that the same? One and the same?
One and the same, depending on the year though. 'Cause there's a, 1 second.
Yeah, there's three.
I thought there was one before. I thought that.
No,
that
it's just the Treaty of Peace and Friendship.
okay. And that's the same as the Treaty of Morocco.
More than likely, they probably just call it
Something
that
different,
as
okay.
well. You know, probably
Yeah,
call it
dear.
that as well.
Huh? Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe if you want to close the door.
Is he okay? Okay, so,
Right.
Right.
yeah.
Yeah. So again, domestic, spiritual, national constitution. They're all separate documents, but they all play hand in hand at the same time. And that's why Mobutu said for us to study this, because in studying this, it would get us in the mind frame to understand what this is. Because, like for example, when you get the right, and then you got the other one there,
Which one?
the Constitution,
Yeah, I got it.
National Constitution.
Yes.
So Act 1, Grand Sheik and Chairman of Moorish Science Temple, Moorish America, etc. are empowered to make law and enforce law with the assistance of the Prophet and the Grand Body of Moorish America. The Assistant Grand Sheik is to assist the Grand Sheik in all affairs if he lives according to love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, and is known before the citizens of the Moorish Science Temple. Now, read Act 1 of that.
We the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity, to ordain and establish this Constitution for the United States of America.
Should be some more.
Okay.
Article 1.
Article.
Section 1, yeah.
Section 1?
Yeah.
All legislative powers herein granted shall be vested in a Congress of the United States, which shall consist of a Senate and House of Representatives. You want to keep going?
Yeah.
Section 2, the House of Representatives shall be composed of members chosen every second year by the people of several states, and the electors in each state shall have the qualifications requisite for electors of the most numerous branch of the state legislature. No person shall be a representative who shall not have attained to the age of 25 years and been 7 years a citizen of the United States, who shall not, when elected, be an inhabitant of that state in which he shall be chosen. Representatives and direct taxes shall be apportioned among the several states which may be included within this union according to the respective numbers, which shall be determined by adding to the whole number of free persons, including those bound to service. I guess this is the slaves right here, right? When it says to the whole number of free persons,
Right.
including those bound for a service term of years. That would be slavery, right? And excluding Indians, not taxed, and 3/5 of all other persons. That would be us,
Right.
or the black.
Yeah.
The actual enumeration shall be made.
The people who aren't party.
Right. The actual enumeration shall be made within 3 years after the meeting of the Congress of the United States, and within every subsequent term of 10 years in such manner as they shall by law direct. The number of representatives shall not exceed 1 for every 30,000, but each state shall have at least 1 representative and until such enumeration shall be made. The state of New Hampshire shall be entitled to choose 3, Massachusetts 8, Rhode Island and Providence Plantations 1, Connecticut 5, New York 6, New Jersey 4, Pennsylvania 8, Delaware 1, Maryland 6, Virginia 10, North Carolina 5, South Carolina 5, Georgia 3. When vacancies happen in the representation from any state, the executive authority thereof shall issue writs of election to fill such vacancies. The House of Representatives shall choose their speaker and other officers, and shall have the sole power of impeachment.
Right, so Article 1, right?
Mm-hmm.
Ties in with Act 1
Yeah.
of the Divine Constitution.
Can you read Act 1 again?
Right, Act 1. The Grand Sheik and Chairman of Moorish America are empowered to make law and enforce law with the assistance of the Prophet and the Grand Body of Moorish America. The Assistant Grand Sheik is to assist the Grand Sheik in all affairs if he lives according to love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, and it is known before the citizens of Moorish America. Right?
So what I sense, though, is it's more, to me, because this is we the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union. So in essence, this is the one for both of us, that's the one for us.
Right.
But that connects to this.
That connects to
That gives us our directions.
Our directions.
Right. And their Magna Carta might be theirs or maybe not.
Well,
in a sense, or
to a degree, right? To a degree. But their Magna Carta has nothing to do with this side of the planet.
that's right. That's right.
They brought it over here,
Right.
and they use it over here, and they talk like
I'll
it's
explain that.
relative
It's in there.
To things.
to here.
But really, what that
But
is,
really
that is the document that they use to continue to proliferate their stuff.
To usurp, to continue to
Do all this
the
stuff.
whatever it is that they do. They have their own authority,
Right.
right? Act 2. All meetings are to be opened and closed promptly according to the Circle 7 and love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Fridays are a holy day of rest because on a Friday the first man was formed in flesh, and on Friday the first man departed out of flesh and ascended unto his Father God Allah. For that cause Friday is the holy day for all Muslims all over the world. And then hit up Article 2 in
Article 2?
the National Constitution.
Okay. The executive power shall, okay, section 1. The executive power shall be vested in a president, and that's why I want to talk about this, because it says here, vested in a president of the United States of America. Now, that word itself, it's like, how many are there?
Right.
Right, but anyway, so vested in a President of the United States of America, he shall hold his office during the term of 4 years, and, together with the Vice President, chosen for the same term, be elected as follows. Each state shall appoint in such manner as the legislature thereof may direct a number of electors equal to the whole number of senators and representatives to which the state may be entitled in the Congress, but no senator or representative or person holding an office of trust or profit under the United States shall be appointed an elector. The electors shall meet in their respective states and vote by ballot for 2 persons, of whom one at least shall not be an inhabitant of the same state with themselves, and they shall make a list of all the persons voted for, and of the number of votes for each, which list they shall sign and certify, and transmit, sealed, to the seat of the government of the United States, directed to the President of the Senate. The President of the Senate shall, in the presence of the Senate and Houses of Representatives, open all the certificates, and the votes shall then be counted. The person having the greatest number of votes shall be the President, if such number be a majority of the whole number as electors appointed, and if there be more than one who have such majority and have an equal number of votes, then the House of Representatives shall immediately choose by ballot one of them for president, and if no person have a majority, then from the 5 highest on the list, the said House shall in like manner choose the president. But in choosing the president, the vote shall be taken by states, the representation from each state having 1 vote. A quorum for this purpose shall consist of a member or members from 2/3 of the states, and the majority of all the states shall be necessary to a choice. In every case, after the choice of the president, the person having the greatest number of votes of the electors shall be the vice president. But if they should remain 2 or more who have equal votes, the Senate shall choose from them by ballot the vice president. Okay, there's a trick. Okay. The Congress may determine the time of choosing the electors and the day on which they shall give their votes, which day shall be the same throughout the United States. Now here's another thing. No person except a natural-born citizen or a citizen of the United States at the time of the adoption of this Constitution shall be eligible to the office of President, neither shall any person be eligible to that office who shall not have attained to the age of 35 years and been 14 years a resident with the United States. In case of the removal of President from office or of his death, resignation, or inability to discharge the powers and duties of the said office, the same shall devolve on the Vice President. And the Congress may by law provide for the case of removal, death, resignation, or inability, both of the President and Vice President, declaring what officer shall then act as President, and such officer shall act accordingly until the disability be removed or a President shall be elected. Last paragraph. The President shall, at stated times, receive for his services a compensation which shall neither be increased nor diminished during the period for which he shall have been elected, and he shall not receive within that period any other emolument from the United States or any of them. Before he enter on the execution of his office, he shall take the following oath or affirmation. I do solemnly swear or affirm that I will faithfully execute the office of the President of the United States and will, to the best of my ability, preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution of the United States. That's it.
So, Article 2 is tied to Act 2 based on the idea of the meetings. the coming together of the Senate and the whatever to have these meetings to do whatever it is that they have to do to get the government running, or keep the government running, right? Now, as well, when Amari brought up the thing about a president, remember this is the Constitution for the United States of America, which is a jurisdiction from north to south, not just north. So all those other countries in the south, they got heads as well.
What do you mean, like in places like United States of Brazil and stuff like
Yeah,
that?
exactly.
United States
So
of Colombia.
our president implies that they're just talking about the jurisdiction of North America.
Right.
Because this I said president, it's just like with the question of, who's the president of the United States of America? And everybody's, Barack Obama. But, he has no connection to any other landmass as a president. His only connection is to North America. We got Act 3. Love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice must be proclaimed and practiced by all citizens of Moorish America. Islam. No citizen is to put in danger or accuse falsely his brother or sister on any occasion at all that may harm his brother or sister, because Allah is love. You got 3 over there?
Article 3, you want to do it? Who wants to do it? Who wants to do it? Let's take it. Anybody? Like, read Article 3.
You do the next one. The judicial power of the United States shall be vested in one Supreme Court and in such inferior courts as the Congress may from time to time ordain and establish. The judges both of the Supreme and inferior courts shall hold their offices during good behavior and shall at stated times receive for their services a compensation which shall not be diminished during their continuance in office. Section 2, the judicial power shall extend to all cases in law and equity arising under this Constitution. The law of the United States and treaties made or which shall be made under their authority to all cases affecting ambassadors, other public ministers, and consuls, to all cases of admiralty and maritime jurisdiction, to controversies to which the United States shall be a party, to controversies between 2 or more states, between a state and citizens of another state, between citizens of different states, between citizens of the same state claiming lands under grants of different states, and between a state or the citizen thereof and foreign states, citizens or subjects, in all cases affecting ambassadors or other public ministers and consuls, and those in which a state shall be party, the Supreme Court shall have original jurisdiction in all other cases before mentioned. The Supreme Court shall have appellate jurisdiction both as to law and fact, with such exceptions and under such regulations as the Congress shall make. The trial of all crimes, except in cases of impeachment, shall be by jury, and such trials shall be held in the state where the said crime shall have been committed. But when not committed within any state, the trial shall be at such place or places as the Congress may by law have directed. Section 3. Treason against the United States shall consist only in levying war against them or in adhering to their enemies, giving them aid and comfort. No person shall be convicted of treason unless on the testimony of 2 witnesses to the same overt act or on confession in open court. The Congress shall have power to declare the punishment of treason, but no attainder of treason shall work corruption of blood or forfeiture except during the life of the person attainted.
Right? So, love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice must be proclaimed and practiced by all citizens of Moorish America. Right? So in Act 3, or in Article 3, they're putting in place the jurisdiction that the people who are being put on this contract or this treaty, right? The delegated powers that they have.
Say that last part again?
The people who are under this treaty. It's we the people, right? For a more perfect union, right? Establish this Constitution for the United States of America.
Okay, so read Article 3 there again. That
Love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice must be proclaimed and practiced by all citizens of Moorish America. No citizen is to put in danger or accuse falsely his brother or sister on any occasion at all that may harm his brother or sister, because Allah is love.
Basically, that ties into this with the Supreme Court,
Right,
because ultimately
exactly.
it's the supreme law of the land, and this is what, and then it goes into there an explanation of exactly what
What
that is supposed to entail.
right.
Right. So basically, this is telling us, because we're the ones who created this, and then it's giving the expounding to that
Expounding
to everyone else.
of this,
Yes,
right?
to everyone else, because basically we would have been on a higher level of knowledge. in a sense.
Exactly. Right.
And we would have then been on that principle of love.
Which is why we can see where we're at
Yeah.
right now, because things like this
Weren't
weren't
followed.
enforced.
Yeah.
For the people to recognize that, well, as Noble Ali said, bring us into the constitutional fold of government, and he brought us a constitution,
Yeah.
then obviously the national constitution has to have something to do with what we're doing. Has to. There's no way that we have something called a constitution, but we're not following the constitution that set up everything that is established as far as government in the Americas or in North
Well,
America.
what's interesting is, remember we had who was it who did the lecture 2 lectures ago? Keep getting straight-
Denham?
Denham.
Yeah.
When he talks about love being a form of God.
Right.
So ultimately, if we have stopped sort of connecting with that form of God, then
Then we disconnect completely.
that's right,
No, but then we also disconnected from truth
right as well.
and peace and freedom and justice.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Ultimate, but those were all forms of God
Yeah,
too.
so we're like 5 times out of the loop,
Right.
right? And again, when you go to like this is why all these things tie together. When we go to Article 3, it talks about ambassadors and public ministers and consuls, and that being a separate jurisdiction from everybody else. Because in this jurisdiction, the Supreme Court has jurisdiction over individuals with these particular titles. I think
Yeah.
it's Section 2 it starts in,
For which?
for Article 3.
Article 3, Section 1 and 2.
is what
Actually,
I'm-
Article no.
Well-
Article 3 has 3 I think it has 3
No,
three
you mean in
sections.
regards
so
to the...
Section
to
one-
No,
the-
but it's Section 2 that then describes.
But it's still Article 1 as well,
Yeah,
it's
Article
1 and
1
2.
too. I
1 and
think
2,
it's-
because it's still...
Huh?
Yeah, Article 1 as well.
Has what?
Like in regards to the Supreme Court, their jurisdiction.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, in Article 1 and 2, you're saying?
No. Sorry, Article,
You mean
Section
Section
1 and 2,
Section
sorry.
one.
Section
Yeah,
Not
yeah,
one and two,
article, section. Like
No, but it's interesting. The first one I think seems to describe
Yeah, just read it again.
Just read it again.
the whole thing.
Yeah, repeat, yeah.
Section 1, the judicial power of the United States shall be vested in one Supreme Court.
All
and
right,
it's-
so the judicial power shall be vested in one Supreme Court,
Yeah.
right? Judicial power
Yeah, of the United States.
of the United States shall be vested in one Supreme Court, right? So anybody who's not Supreme Court can't say that they have judicial power.
Over. Exactly.
So
Anybody who's not supreme
yeah.
can't make the statement that they have judicial power. They can't make the statement that we have a building and there's a
Right.
judge in here, if you're not supreme. Right, continue on.
And what's interesting, I guess this is the next part, and in such inferior courts as Congress may from time to time ordain and establish. That's the delegation
That's
of
the-
authority.
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Wow.
Right?
Okay.
So it's all in there about what we're supposed to do as far as our protocols. When people say, oh, well, Taj is, he's telling people to go act stuff or get themselves kidnapped or whatever. No, that's constitutional talk. He just never, because he studies the Constitution, it's natural to him to just talk in that format.
Right.
That, yeah, you ask for delegation of authority. Why? Because Article 3 says that they have to have it. They have to have it. And Congress has to give it to them. And if Congress never gave them any delegation of authority, then they don't have any judicial power. But like we were saying earlier, if Moors didn't do what they're supposed to do, don't think these guys are going to do what they're supposed to do. They're not going to stand up to that. Because that means all these buildings around here that they're raping people with are closed tomorrow. If they stand up to that.
Yeah, but
And
since
everybody will be going
since
to-
we're not standing up to ours, then this is
Then,
why this is
yeah,
going on.
If we're not standing up to ours, they don't have to stand up to theirs.
Because we're out of order. So how could we put in order something what is supposed to be in order when we cannot put ourselves in order?
Put ourselves in order.
Like that's a conflict of interest right there. You know, it's like I'm telling you, do as I say, not as I do.
And remember, it's a
That
transfer of power. Because we only have this because that was doing this.
So we only have what?
We only have
This?
divine constitution
Right.
because we couldn't stand on that because they were trying to bury that by adding all these amendments and whatever, and you know, and then when somebody sees 7 articles, 20-something amendments, automatically they're gonna detach because niggers don't read. And that's but 10 pages or whatever, right? And they're not even gonna read that. And that's the thing that is gonna keep these people in check who they say are abusing them, whether it's slavery or whatever. Constitution holds those people. Like
But
think about
interestingly enough, these
all
10
the
pages.
courts.
But interestingly enough, these 10 pages do
Yeah.
hold all of that, hold all the
Exactly.
information.
Think about all the courts that they had during the time of slavery that they were taking people to, right? Trying to tell them that, you know, you have to go there because you hit somebody or you looked at a lady wrong, we're gonna take you to court, or you did something frivolous and they take you to court. They never take nobody to no Supreme Court to go adjudicate against them.
It's just property that they took.
Right? Which is the second, the other part of it, that if everybody is of the mindset that they're not we the people, then none of that applies to them. So they're gonna have to make up new stuff to deal with these people because
that's what
the
they've done.
Constitution doesn't apply to them because they're not saying they're we the people. They're saying we're Negro, black, colored, African, slaves, white people, whatever. So
not
that
white
has,
people,
That
that's
has
the
no
market.
bearing on them. Right? As far as identity, not white people as status.
Okay, I see.
Right? As saying that we're white and somebody's black. Right? And Noble Drew Ali made sure that when we, in Act 1, the Grand Sheik and the chairman, and then he talks about assistant Grand Sheik, right? Those are ambassadors, public ministers, consuls. Which means that if there's any type of situation, then automatically it's supposed to be a Supreme Court issue. It's not supposed to be, we're not supposed to be having to go to the low-level courts, right? But the reason we go to the low-level courts is because we have the instrument that's tying us to the low-level court called birth certificate, license, whatever. So we're already out of the jurisdiction of Supreme Court. We are. They're not that they're doing something wrong. We're in error.
Yeah.
Because we're outside of law.
Plaintiff in error.
We're outside of law. So law doesn't apply to us. Whether it's natural law, divine law, whatever, has no application to our people if they don't address themselves as being ambassadors, consuls, or public ministers.
You know, in a perfect world, the people could just abide by the law just alone, right? And they wouldn't be in need from the ambassadors.
Yeah, exactly.
and all those other
And
public figures.
when we look out there, we know it ain't perfect
Because
world.
we living in like domestic, spiritual, constitution. You know, the mind has to, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
There's always something gonna creep up within each, interaction with one another.
Yeah, well, that leeway, that opening that allows stuff to creep up is because the people aren't doing what they're supposed to do. If the people aren't acting like ambassadors, public ministers, and consuls, but they're acting like everything else, accept this level of citizenry, right? Then the people who have the so-called authority are gonna make up stuff to deal with these people because they can't do anything else. Or they're gonna call their boys who wear hoods and robes or whatever and tell them those guys over there, you need to eliminate those people because they're stateless. They're walking around here, they're eating with everybody, they're drinking with everybody. They want to come into our restaurants and whatever and eat. We have a sign right there that says no dogs allowed or whatever, and they're coming up in here. And we can't have that because you've been put on notice that no blacks allowed. What are you coming up in here for? And then why are you arguing that we should let you in here? When there's a big sign outside, been outside. No blacks allowed here. Whites only or whatever. Right? And then that goes back to it's right up there, Jose Pimenta Bay, when he was here talking about his uncle going to the restaurant and they're dressed up as Moors and the sign is right there, no blacks allowed, and the owner of the restaurant would come on in, have a seat and whatever, because he knew that they weren't black people. He knew that they were consuls, ambassadors, public ministers or something. You know, you guys got fezzes on and they're wearing jalabiyas and things like that. Obviously, these aren't Negroes. Obviously, they're on a different frame of mind, or you know, as far as their identity. So we'll let them come in and sit with us. No matter how much people get mad and say, "Why you letting niggers in here?" or whatever, you know, you guys just chill. Those aren't the guys that we have the sign up for. These are different. These are public ministers, ambassadors, consuls, and all that. Right? Which means that they know. So it's not a thing that we have to convince. We have to convince people that we're Moors and we have a status of whatever. They already know who we are and what our status is.
I think the question is they don't know. I think it's a matter of they don't know. You know? That's why they're questioning.
Who don't know? They? Who's they?
Whoever it has to be asking, you know, the person to define, you know, what a Moor is or how does a Moor look like. I think they don't know because I know how a Somalian. It's clear to me. You know?
How do you know what a Somalian looks like?
I hear the language.
Okay.
I see the dress attire, right? And I just see the way that they carry themselves, you know, as a whole.
Are you 100% sure on what a Somalian? Remember when we used to work with a couple
Well,
of
the
other different Somalians?
Kenyan person is close in Ethiopia. They're very close, right? But just when it comes to like identifying who they are, Somalians, I know what a Somalian is. I know who Somalian is. I should say.
No. We remember those other Somalians? We could walk in like 5 different looking Somalians for you. Just like you could walk in 5 different Ethiopian looking, Kenyan looking. No, you cannot define someone by just how they look. It's by the tongue, what they say, who they are.
Well, you can't judge a book by its cover. You gotta read it.
So in terms of a Somalian, then you have to ask, what is a Somalian?
It's just the language.
Right?
I think it states.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Yes, because I would define a Somalian by their language, spoken tongue. Yeah, I'm not sure because when I hear that tongue, I could tell that this person is Somalian. You know?
But I also think that it's not only, I mean, that ties, I think the prophet says that you can't tell a Moor by his look or his dress.
Right.
You have to talk to him and understand what his nationality is and his, I think his nationality and his I think it was something else, his nationality and his parent, his nationality and his creed. There were two things that determined. There were two things that determined whether he was a Moor or not. It wasn't how he looked, right?
If you try to judge a Moor by looking at him, you're burnt up from the start or something to that effect. Should be in the oral statements. Yeah.
Oral statements? Oral statements back there. Wrong one?
Act 4. Yeah, why you look for that?
Oh, you know what? I was gonna.
Yeah.
I thought what was even more important than that was. I thought it was more important to go. Oh, you want to go to Act 4?
No, you
Stay on it, yeah. Or you want to-
The judicial, the section 2. So this was. So first of all, it says what the Supreme Court is,
Yeah.
and then the second part explains what the Supreme Court covers,
Right.
which is the judicial power shall extend to all cases in law and equity arising under this Constitution, the laws of the United States and treaties
Right.
made or which shall be made under their authority,
Right.
to all cases affecting ambassadors, other public ministers, and consuls, to all cases of admiralty and maritime jurisdiction. So it covers all of it.
Right.
Oh, no, it covers all of that sea stuff, the
Right.
water stuff.
Exactly.
To controversies to which the United States shall be a party to, shall be a party. To controversies between two or more states, between a state and citizens, or of another state, between citizens of different states, between citizens of the same state claiming lands under grants of different states, and between a state of the citizens thereof, and foreign states. So that would be other
International.
international. So the
Yeah.
Supreme Court deals with all of that.
Right.
And citizens or subjects. In all cases affecting ambassadors or other public ministers and consuls and those in which a state shall be party, the Supreme Court shall have, and then it goes on to say that under all of that, Supreme Court has ultimate jurisdiction.
Right.
In all the other cases before mentioned, everything before, the Supreme Court shall have appellate jurisdiction as well.
Right.
So then
So
even if,
Supreme Court-
so even when, if that's done, you still gotta go back to them.
Even if you have to appeal,
Yeah.
it's supposed to be done.
Both as to law and fact, with such exceptions and under such regulations as the Congress shall make, which is interesting. So the Congress is involved
Congress
in this
is
too.
right, and Congress is the one who sets the order.
Right.
But now, if we go to James Traficant bankruptcy speech, right?
Actually.
All offices of the U.S. are dissolved,
Yeah.
Have it right here.
which includes Congress.
So they're not in it.
So they're not, which is why.
So they're not valid.
Which is why we're in this again, because of people taking the position of selling out.
Yeah.
And when you have a governmental office and you sell out, you don't just sell out your office, you also sell out the government.
Say that last part again.
When you have a governmental office,
Mm-hmm.
right, and you sell out,
Mm-hmm.
you're not only selling out your post. It's like the guy who's standing post, right? You know, every hour we're gonna switch posts,
Mm-hmm.
right? And hour comes up and it's your time to go on break and the guy doesn't show up. If you leave your post, then now your post is vacant. For anybody to come and do whatever it is that day, you know, but that falls on you, not on the guy who was supposed to come relieve you.
Right.
Because you're supposed to stay at your post
Until you get relieved.
until you get relieved. All right? And that's where James Traficant's going, where all these posts that were supposed to be de jure posts got sold to international bankers, which made those posts de facto.
Right.
Which is why when Moors go to the county to go file their paperwork or whatever nowadays, county's telling them, we're not filing your stuff here.
Say that last part again.
When Moors go to file things in the county level,
Right.
the county's blocking them from filing their documentation. because the counties have been dissolved.
Right.
They don't have,
So
they don't have the
so-
position
yeah, yeah.
to take Moorish paperwork and file it somewhere. Right?
Yeah.
Right?
So in essence, and if they take that in, then all of a sudden they're opening up the floodgates to having the natural law come into effect.
Right. Which, you know, because they're saying that this is so-called a democracy.
Right.
There ain't no such thing as coming and filing anything on any record around here. Because it's democracy. Which is why you would rather set up the temple and you file your stuff here. Why you going to these sellouts to go file your stuff? When you have an institution that was set up just like government, 7 articles and all that stuff, the exact same parameters as government, as the so-called government that was selling out.
Question. So the onlookers who are they don't have the knowledge about, you know, the luxury of having, you know, your nationality and being a national, right? To looking at the citizens, right, the 13th Amendment citizens, they view us as, how is that beneficial, or how would they like wanna be down with this?
No, they have to proclaim their nationality.
But if they have a government set up, doesn't that mean that their government's more real than this one?
No, their government's not a government, it's a corporation.
But it's run like a government.
But it's a corporation. That's like somebody saying, we use this example all the time. FedEx is government because they say federal. They're no government, it's a corporation. They just call themselves federal, but that doesn't mean that they have any governmental authority to go around and, you know, set up the thing. People could come into FedEx, come vote for the prime minister or whatever. They don't have no authority like that. It's the exact same thing. They think that they're attached to a government, but they're really attached to a corporation and they're stock of that corporation.
And what I've realized is they've just made names up that pretend like they're the government.
They're the government.
So U.S. you think is United States, but it's
Right.
really U.S.
But it's really U.S. United States.
So it's a corporation.
Right. That has nothing to do with the legitimate government based on that Constitution right there that says Constitution for the United States of America Republic. Give thanks. All right? Constitution for the United States of America Republic.
Here it goes.
Yeah.
Money does not make the man, and clothes do not make the man. It is character and free national standards that make the man. That's the
Right.
first one. The second one, if you try to tell what a man is by looking at him, you are burnt up from the start. You cannot tell what nationality a man is by looking at him. One needs to ask him what his nationality is.
You know,
So you got a brother that you ask your brother what his nationality is, and he tells you it's Jamaican.
Yeah.
What's your response? What are you supposed to tell him? Jamaican is not a nationality.
Jamaican is not a nationality.
It's a what? He's gonna say, well, what is it?
It's a corporate nationality. Put it like that. You
I
know?
was realizing too with some of these things, when you start getting into this, you should have the de jure names of these islands too
Yeah,
at the time,
yeah.
so that
Yes,
you can
yes.
so that you can give them a reference point
Right.
too, so that they can go
For what it is.
so they can go Google it, right?
that's just like what we talked about when we were talking about the birth certificates
Sense.
Right.
in regards to
Because they're going to ask you, because you're going to tell them no,
Yeah.
then they're going to want to know, well,
Yeah.
okay, if you're
Well,
saying
why?
that,
Yes.
So
Good,
yes,
good,
it's
good, good, good.
yeah,
good,
it's
yes.
perfect.
Perfect, whatever.
It's like when they say like
Reference point.
the countries in the Caribbean have independence,
right?
but they have independence, but they're still using the names that they got tripped up in.
Right.
So how can you be independent
Not
from
really
something
that
that you're still
independent.
using?
Yes.
That can't be.
Okay.
So that's where it comes down to, do you know exactly where you're from?
That's true, brother.
You know what I mean?
That's true.
Yeah.
That's
Right.
there's a lot of confusion.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right, and then also too with you know, for example with Jamaica as an example,
Hey.
you could also say, you know, one nationality is a maroon.
Mm.
Because they're from over there too, and they don't call themselves Jamaican.
Mm-hmm.
And they have more rights than the people who call themselves Jamaican that are independent from the Queen or whatever.
That's true. That's true.
And they're not independent from the Queen or anything. They didn't even declare that they're independent.
There's no connection to them.
None.
You know what I mean? They've been there, free, allodial, doing whatever it is that they do, without having any tie to
The government.
to
Yes.
claiming to be independent or not independent or, you know,
Yes,
they just
yeah.
do what they do. They just exercise. You know?
But see, that's the part that, in terms of declaring your nationality, that most people really don't understand. They say, like, I go back to the word independent. When you look at independent, if you have to ask somebody to get an independence, if you're being granted that privilege, the word privilege right there, you're still in that trick bag. No matter how hard or how tough you come, that, oh, we're independent, how much you celebrate, you're still in the trick bag.
Right.
You're just independent to do what you want to do. However, you have limits. You still have to use that name.
And all those islands are connected to North America, which means their constitution is the constitution for the United States of America, not whatever constitution they adopted from some Europeans telling them that you're free now.
Exactly.
Or you're independent.
Exactly.
Right? And in them tying themselves back to the Constitution for the United States of America, then they tie themselves back to the land.
Exactly.
Which isn't Jamaica.
Yes.
Exactly.
And then they get themselves out of slavery tomorrow. And then they can start trading again and all that. They don't have to worry about no IMF debts and all that stuff. You got mango trees and coconut trees and whatever, and people over there want coconuts, you can take
True
them.
independence.
Yeah, true
True
independence.
independence. That's what
Right?
it is.
Do what we were doing before European came in. Because trade routes are still there. Everything's still
Same.
there. It's just we're not exercising, we're not using it as it's supposed to be used.
Yes, that's true.
You know? And then we're not using it because we don't have the mindset of it. Because, you know, we think that we got some independence.
Yes.
But yet we want to separate.
Yeah, but you want to separate me. Well, I thought you're independent. Well, if we're independent, then you should be doing independent things.
Yeah. Exactly. That's it.
And people are waiting for that. It's not like people aren't waiting. You know, it's like we're working with this sister in where's she at? Can't remember what state she's in. But we're working on connecting ourselves with bodies of Moors, right? That recognize what Noble Drawley brought, that see what this is. We're gonna do up our own, our authority and go file it in Cook County. 'Cause that's what we're supposed to do, right? So there's individuals in different states that are coming together, and then we're included in that we're gonna go and file just like Noble Drawley filed, right? Under Heard's revised statute and all that, because that's the protocol. That's how it's supposed to be done, right? And she's talking about, she has all these manufacturers for whatever, from China, India, wherever, that they're just waiting for the call.
To start trading.
So they can start trading with the actual real indigenous people of this side.
Yes.
Because they know who they are. We don't know who they are, but people out there know who they are. And they're desperately waiting for us to step up. Just like they were desperately waiting for Malcolm to step up. But, you know, he didn't have he was still studying when he went to the UN. He wasn't fully there yet. He was still trying to get this new concept down that everybody thinks he got down, because they're gonna invite him to come talk. Then obviously he must be on some type of degree of knowledge, but he wasn't anywhere yet. He just got into studying international law and all that. He was very, very new. He was green still. Right? But people were expecting ripeness out of him. Yes.
Yeah.
People are expecting to bite him and, you know, the juice running down their arm and all that stuff. Right? When he was green.
Yes, brother.
You bite him, you have the white stuff coming out still. He didn't know anything about international law. He was just going based on, he studied a little bit or something, you know, but he didn't have, you know, Taj degree of international law or somebody who's a studier, you know. He was new. And
Yeah, that's why I kind of see. I see there's only one fault with this whole movement. You know what I mean? Being whether you're aware of it or not. Even if you're aware of it, you get treated just like the same if you're unaware of it. And it's the recognizing what your writs are trying to basically, you know, convey. It's not conveying it with the same type of mustard as the corporations that are taking the positions of government.
yeah, but remember
It
that.
doesn't have that same type of grit, type of fortitude. you
Yeah,
know?
but see, like, it.
I guess
that's
because
a
of people that's backing it.
that's
You know what I'm
appearance.
saying?
But that's based on appearance because they can't acknowledge what we do. If let's say Stephen Harper came out, right? Had a news conference. And he started talking about, yeah, we're getting the writs from the Moors in Canada, and you know, we acknowledge these writs and we acknowledge what these people are doing, and we, you know, are in full support of everything that they say and all their writs that they sent us. They're gonna lose fiat. Because everybody's gonna jump from their ship and come on this ship because they said that this is legit.
Money's just what make it work though.
But-
It's about like what are the people doing? Like how is it gonna like bend and come around back in the people that's talking?
Oh, well,
People
it's
gotta
not,
be, like,
it's not that.
wanting to have like a rec center, so they're going to develop a rec center. You know what I mean? How it's structured, it benefits the people come back in the pocket.
No, but it does.
So so what I'm saying is like, you know, it doesn't have as on an individual standpoint. It's nice to say yes, I know. Okay, well you're aware of what it is. You know what I mean? You're knowledgeable.
Like for
It still
example.
doesn't carry that the money and the influential side of things, right?
For example,
It's like mainstream and underground. You know what I'm saying? You're not gonna give underground that much recognition because you're not hearing the money.
yeah, but that doesn't mean that it does. But that doesn't mean that it doesn't have the recognition. Not because they don't play underground hip hop on the radio means that nobody listens to it.
And actually, just sorry to interrupt for half a second, but I realized the whole term behind underground states that there's something above ground. And the fact that it is underground usually means that it's not going
It's not in the book.
with what the above ground wants. And if
Right.
the above ground is de facto, then the underground is probably gonna be the pure,
Right.
right? Which is what I sense this is.
Right.
And then to tie this back to the Harper thing, I realize he's in a de facto position. He can't agree to anything. Huh?
Exactly.
He can't be the one to say anything, because he's not in any position to say anything.
Right. Right. And he can't.
Right?
He can't.
Yes.
If he says something, he's in complete error. He's in complete error. Right?
It would be like asking the plastic plant, is this a real plant?
Right.
Right? The plastic plant can't tell you that.
But you know, if you think that plastic plant tell you something, you ask plastic plant all day and get no answer.
And that's what we're doing though. That's what we've been doing.
Yeah. Right, which is where Brother Andre is going
Right.
with it.
Which is
That
what,
they're not recognizing.
not recognizing
When we present to them,
stuff.
when we say plastic plant, are you real?
Right,
We're not getting any reply.
right,
We're not getting any response.
Right.
Yeah, because
Why is it in the garbage?
Plant has no
de
life.
facto. What are they gonna say? You know, what are
It's
they
gonna
gonna say?
change overnight, it's gonna change on everyone on the same level.
But it won't change overnight.
No.
So, you know, we just have to take that position of trying to stimulate some kind of change,
Where's the headphone?
right?
I guess that's true, but we have to take the initiative.
Right.
That's true.
Based on what we know.
Of course.
Because again, they're not.
Well,
Don't think that when they attack somebody who knows about nationality and birthrights, that they're attacking them because they're wrong or that they don't respect something. They're attacking so that somebody else out there who's looking doesn't get down with this.
As well
The
as,
first thing they're thinking is, oh, if I get down with that, then they're gonna do me like that. I ain't getting down with this.
As well as-
when there's Moors who we know personally that they show their nationality card, go on a plane.
yes.
But nobody's talking about those guys,
They bought it,
huh?
they bought everything in one airplane, it was like, they just walk on the airplane.
Bought what?
Showed their card and they just boarded the airplane.
No, but I mean you gotta show something to go on the plane, but they're not showing passports or governmental so-called government stuff. They're showing nationality cards. You know, Alim Bey, he came over here on paperwork 2 times, 3 times that we brought him here. He came on paperwork, border to border, showing his paperwork, and they. He didn't show no passport, nothing like that. Right? But they're not gonna talk about that. And he can talk about it as an individual, but who's gonna back him? That's Alim Bey, he's from North Carolina. He doesn't know, he's not government. He's more government than the people who they think is government.
Yeah.
What chips do you need?
You know? So it's not a thing of us needing them to respect something or honor something or whatever like that. Do we honor it? If we don't honor it, then they won't. And we've had this stuff since 1913. And we're just getting on this now, 2014. 101 years later, we're just finding out about Noble Drew Ali, that there's a divine constitution for Moorish Americans. That's tied to the national constitution. That's tied to the Zodiac constitution. But we don't know anything about that. But we know about Sirius A and going to some other planet and meditate, breathe, and then you get a Merkaba around you, and then you can make the Merkaba spin, and you can disappear or whatever. That's not what this is about.
Even to add to the recognition thing that you're talking about, Andre, is that if you don't recognize who you are, they don't really have the right to recognize you either. Because
I have a question. Sorry to interrupt you.
no, that's okay.
You just can't.
Yeah. Like in a sense, like say you play for a basketball team, whatever.
Stuff for you, man. Good stuff.
You want some stuff for you?
No, we're good, man. We're good.
Thanks, man.
Thank you, Bob. We'll come through another time. So, like I could liken it to like a basketball team in terms of being recognized how good you are. They're gonna keep beating up on you until you recognize that you're good. No, think about it.
Say that one last again?
I'm talking about a basketball team. I'm saying, you step out on the court, all right, and you know you're good, but you know you're playing around. The other team's not gonna respect you. They're gonna keep like knocking you over, elbow you here, elbow you there, until you step up and say, you know what, I'm not taking this shit no more. Time to play the game like I'm supposed to play the game.
Well,
It's likened to us right now. We know we have a government.
I think the better analogy is that they're playing the game. So you might be good, but if you're not playing the game, they're going to beat you.
They're going to beat you.
Right. Just because they're playing and you're not.
Just because they're playing.
Just
Not because of skills or who's better or who's not better.
Because you're the one that taught them how to
That's
play
right.
the game.
Exactly.
You invented the game, the basket.
Right.
Everything. The rules.
Right.
but you're not following the rules.
Yeah, well, that's true.
You're trying to make up some new rules. Can't do that.
Different results.
You know what I mean? So in terms of recognition, if you don't recognize who you are, they don't have to recognize you. They don't have to. Like, why would we bother recognize them for?
They don't recognize themselves.
Like,
Yeah.
whatever.
It's a waste.
I'm still keep eating off their plate. You know?
Depending on that.
I mean, another analogy is you have your plate on the table, like just going back to eating off a plate, and somebody's eating off your plate day after day after day after day. And you just watch them eating off your plate. Well, don't complain if you're hungry.
Yes. They would eat your food.
They're eating your food.
And they got their own food.
And they got their own food.
Which came from your backyard.
We win.
You know what I'm saying?
Right?
So if you don't recognize that somebody's eating off your plate, they're living off your virtues, well, then they don't have to.
Yes.
They don't have to. You gotta recognize that. You gotta. Noble Raleigh brought that statement.
Stand up to the plate.
Know thyself.
Right, and keep in mind that
You know.
all these so-called people that we're saying are, you know, whether de facto or whatever, that we call them government, we call them authority, we call them judges, magistrates, whatever, all of them belong to a lodge, they got a fez.
Yeah.
So all of them belong to the lodge, they got a fez, right? And they're using Moorish birthrights, nationality, etc., right? When it's really, that's really our stuff. You know what I mean?
I wanted to, now that you got on that point, what I realized was,
Come on. You got it.
Gotcha.
what I realized what they did was they, first of all, they denationalized us. So they made us a non-entity. Then they created a false position, which was black. Then they put us into that position. Then by things like saying blacks can't go here, then by saying blacks can't go here, can't go there, they made us then want to be black.
Right.
Right? By saying blacks on the back of the bus, or only whites drinking here, or only whites in here,
Yeah.
they made us desire a position
Yeah.
of de facto-ness.
Which was fraudulent. Yeah.
Which is fun.
Yeah,
Which is
yeah.
what I think I started. It came to me just today that this is what has got us into it, because we're now desiring the position
To be a low
class because they're saying that that's a position that you should want, because at least it'll give you some rights,
Exactly.
right? Oh, you can have some black water.
Yeah.
You can't have some white
Yeah,
water.
well, yeah.
But it's the same water,
Yeah.
right? So all of a sudden now we want to be black.
Or you could just go to the river right there and drink all the water you want. Hot water.
Yeah.
You know?
No, but I realize that's why I think that's where the mindset is.
Yeah.
Because we're now trying to attach ourselves to something, because we had nothing. But we haven't given you the other
Assume
position.
we had nothing.
Well, yeah, we assumed, but that was due to some of their
Right,
stuff and our stuff too.
Yeah, yeah.
Exactly.
Act 4. All citizens must preserve these holy and divine laws, and all citizens must obey the laws of the government, because by being Moorish American, you are part and parcel of the government and must live life accordingly.
Say that last part again? Sorry.
That's 4.
Yeah, all citizens must preserve these holy and divine laws, and all citizens must obey the laws of the government, because by being Moorish American, you are part and parcel of the government and must live the life accordingly. And
So this is what ties us back into that Supreme Court and the Supreme Law,
right,
right? That ties back to Article 3.
all citizens must preserve these holy and divine laws.
Right.
Oh, this is.
Right?
Which are natural,
Right.
which are natural laws.
Natural. And all citizens must obey the laws of the government.
Which is just
Now,
another way of saying,
Moors get this part twisted up, right?
part and parcel.
The obey the laws of the government,
Right.
because they think the laws of the government
Are
is
the laws of-
taxes and you know
Well, all the de facto stuff.
De facto stuff. When the laws of the government is the Constitution. That's it. And if you're not standing up, if you're not preserving and obeying those, then everything else is gonna come down the chute at you.
Yeah.
That you're not putting it in your mind that these are illegitimate practices. Because you never studied the Constitution to know that, you know, for example, Article 4, Section 4, the Republican form of government. All these guys talk about is de facto, every day, all day. That's all they say, de facto.
Sorry, Article.
Yeah,
Article 4, I'll
4.
read it. The United States shall guarantee to every state in this union a republican form of government, and shall protect each of them against invasion and an application of the legislature or of the executive when the legislature cannot be convened, against domestic violence. It's supposed to be
Okay,
republic.
so when the legislature can't be convened, then the next authority is the executive, right? And judicial was in Article 3, right? So if judicial, which is the judge's laws to decide, agree, or whatever, if judicial's out the way, the next level is legislative. If legislative can't do anything, next is executive. What happen if executive falls out of place? Then everything goes right back to we the people, which is where we're at right now. Which is why we have to proclaim our nationality and do all that, because we're actually the government. It's not these people that we're thinking is the government. Because they've been admitted that they're de facto. They've been admitted that they're not Republican forms. But if we acknowledge them as government by going, voting, going to listen to inauguration speeches, driving half across the country to go see the first black president and all this type of stuff, then we're giving them legitimacy. Opposed to saying, whatever.
Yeah.
You guys, and then these guys are standing up there, and then there's nobody out there, and they're just standing there by themselves.
Yeah.
Talking about, yeah, we're the government, and you know, we thank you for voting for me and all that. Because remember, Article 1 doesn't say anything about the people voting. It talks about the Senate and House and all these people voting. So so if the Constitution says that the only people who's supposed to vote for the president and the vice president or whatever are the people who are involved in this body, not the outside people. How the outside people get pulled into being the ones that vote for people? Unless those people are really the Senate and the executive and the judicial and whatever, disguised as citizenry.
Say that last part again.
The real authority, the real branches of government
Are the electors.
are the people.
Yeah, 100%.
The electors.
That's the real branches of government, not the people who say that they're branches of government.
Like Department of this.
I think I remember them saying something I was listening to saying that basically there has been a shift, and the fact that we were giving the government was there to secure our rights and our privileges, and instead it's now the government giving those things to us.
Right.
It's the opposite.
Right.
Right? It's them now telling us what we can
Telling
do.
us what we can do and whatnot. But
Right.
then again, that goes back to the same thing of they're not really the government.
That's right.
They're de facto democracy, right? Exercising powers that they got from Treaty of Verona and Spanish Inquisition and Treaty of Tordesillas and all these so-called, you know, papal edicts or whatever, right? Where they got their authority, and have the people thinking that, you know, they're legit. That's why we can tell you, you need a license to drive. You know, when you get don't forget you need the plates too. And then the stickers. Oh, and don't forget they just passed the thing. You know, if you got 2 tickets or whatever, they're gonna tow your stuff from off the street right here.
Yes.
Right? Creating stuff, just making up stuff off the fly. Right? Just like with Brother Landry. You know, as soon as you walk off the bus, oh well, we're gonna be doing something new today. What do you mean? We're doing something new today. All of a sudden, you guys doing something new, just like that?
Just like that.
Yeah, because we're de facto. That's why we could just make up stuff on the fly.
So original you belong to.
But if you have to be part of the corporate construct. You know, you have to agree. You have to consent that they're actually the government. when they're de facto. And they tell you, even in the Constitution Act of Canada, they tell you that this is a democratic
This is a
society.
fact, yeah.
But Article 11 of the Articles of Confederation says that Canada acceded to everything in the Union, which means that Constitution right there.
Wow.
So how are they gonna accede to everything in the Union prior to 1867, and then 1867 comes, they make up something new, and nobody says anything except Quebec? And Quebec's the only ones that are like, hold on a second, we're not buying that.
Jump.
We're not buying that. You know what I mean? They're gonna have Meech Lake Accord and all this type of stuff to try to get Quebec to, we'll let you sign on to this, and they're not down with that.
I was listening to another one of these videos where they were saying that basically the U.S. has continued to give Israel everything they've wanted because Israel was going to basically drop the secret about everything. But that's the same as Quebec. I think that's what's been going on. They're giving Quebec everything they want because
everything they need
because
Quebec can tell.
Because
that,
Quebec can.
these guys aren't really who they say they are. Every state or every jurisdiction in so-called Canada is no different than the states. That you're supposed to have your own constitution and your own laws. Alberta's supposed to have their own constitution. BC's supposed to have their own. There's not supposed to be one constitution for all these different jurisdictions.
That's it.
But if they get everybody to believe that, this is the Dominion of Canada, Upper Canada, Lower Canada, and what do you mean? This is North America. What are you talking about? Right? And that's the game. The whole game is get our people, especially us, to think that they're the government, not the people. And once the people think that they're not government, then slavery is coming. They're not even coming, slavery is here.
Been here.
Been here. Right? Act 5, no organization of Moorish America is to cause any confusion or to overthrow the laws and constitution of the said government, but to obey hereby. Right? So they're not to cause any confusion or to overthrow the laws and the constitution. So now he's tying Moors now to everything now. Right? Because the laws that we're not to overthrow is Act 1. And Act 2, and Act 3, and Act 4, and Act 5, and Act 6, and Act 7. That's the laws we're not supposed to overthrow. And then there's a constitution that backs up these laws right here. That's why there's 7 articles in this, and then there's 7 articles in that. You got 5 there?
5. The Congress, whenever 2/3 of both houses shall deem it necessary, shall propose amendments to this Constitution, or, on the application of the legislatures of 2/3 of the several states, shall call a convention for proposing amendments, which in either case shall be valid to all intents and purposes, as part of this Constitution, when ratified by the legislatures of 3/4 of the several states, or by conventions in 3/4 thereof, as the one or the other made of ratification may be proposed by the Congress, provided that no amendment which may be made prior to the year 1808 shall in any matter affect the first and fourth clauses in the 9th section of the first article, and that no state without its consent shall be deprived of its equal suffrage in the Senate. So
if Senate, etc., does anything contrary to what that says that they're supposed to do, right? Isn't that causing confusion?
Yes.
Okay.
Right? Which because this is parallel.
Well, I'm thinking that this is more the allowance of things to be changed.
Right.
Because it's telling you to follow everything there.
To follow everything.
And then it's saying, well, if there's a reason for us to change it, this is how it's going to be changed.
This is how it has to be done in order to change it.
And then
But
it's telling you that there's certain.
that's not what they did to bring in all those amendments after the.
But then it's also telling you there's certain things that can't be changed
Can't
at
be
all.
changed. That it's the law,
Yeah.
right?
Go ahead, sorry.
I just want to see what was it, section
5, section 5.
Act 6. With us, all citizens must proclaim their nationality, and we are teaching our people their nationality and their divine creed, that they may know that they are part and parcel of this said government, and know that they are not Negroes, colored folks, black people, or Ethiopians, because these names were given to slaves by slaveholders in 1779 and lasted until 1865 during the time of slavery. But this is a new era of time now, and all men must proclaim their free national name to be recognized by the government in which they live and the nations of the earth. This is the reason why Allah, the great God of the universe, ordained Noble Drew Ali the Prophet to redeem his people from their sinful ways. The Moorish Americans are the descendants of the ancient Moabites who inhabited the northwestern and southwestern shores of Africa. You got 6 right there?
All debts contracted and engagements entered into before the adoption of this Constitution shall be as valid against the Constitution under this Constitution as under the Confederation. The Constitution and the laws of the United States which shall be made in pursuance thereof, and all treaties made or which shall be made under the authority of the United States shall be the supreme law of the land, and the judges in every state shall be bound thereby, anything in the Constitution or laws of any state to the contrary notwithstanding. The senators and representatives, which you have put in parentheses judges, before mentioned, and the members of the several state legislatures, and all executive and judicial officers, both of the United States and of the several states, shall be bound by oath of affirmation to support this Constitution, but no religious test shall ever be required as a qualification to any office or public trust under the United States.
Okay. With us, all citizens must proclaim their nationality.
Okay.
And we are teaching our people their nationality and their divine creed, that they may know that they are part and parcel of this said government.
Okay. In regards to what you just said, in regards to nationality and the divine creed, right? I go back to Article 1, Section 2, right? Of the Constitution, where it states, one second. Okay, representatives and direct taxes shall be apportioned among the several states which may be included within this union, according to their respective numbers, which shall be determined by adding to the whole number of free persons, including those bound to services for a term of years, and excluding Indians not taxed, and 3/5 of all other persons. So when we have the nationality and divine creed, that is what makes up the 3/5.
Right.
So that adds to the 3. The 5, the whole.
Right.
So the 3/5, basically, they're excluded from this Constitution.
Right.
Until they have their nationality and the divine creed.
But I think they are still included in the taxation. That's what it seems to sort of say there, right? That it's saying
But
that
they're the ones that are being taxed.
The taxes is for the Europeans.
free persons, right? Is that what it says in the beginning? Free persons.
Free persons are omitted.
Yeah, okay, so wait. Which shall be determined by adding to the whole number of free persons, including those bound to services for terms of years, and excluding. So basically they're being excluded from the wording in the Constitution.
Right.
They're being excluded
Right.
from not being tax exempt. They're being excluded from all the laws that they have to be bound by. Let me read that. Yeah, they're not being
Well, it seems to me,
included.
I don't know.
Remember, because
Sorry,
remember,
say that again.
we don't have an obligation to taxes.
Mm-hmm.
We don't need an exemption
Mm-hmm.
from taxes. We have no obligation to it.
Yeah.
No, but I thought that basically the reason why in our argument nowadays why we shouldn't be taxed is because we have no representation. But technically under this, if we were represented, then we would pay taxes because then we would be being represented.
But remember, just like hiring a lawyer,
Mm-hmm.
we can't be represented.
We're not allowed to.
I see what you're
So
saying.
we're not obligated,
So that's where the Zodiac
To
Constitution
it.
comes in.
Right.
right?
I see what you're saying, yeah.
We don't have a
Yeah,
tie
yeah.
to pay taxes because really, taxes are really for people who are in our land. Taxes is rent or whatever.
Well, I think where you're saying is that this isn't applying to us, this is applying to the citizens,
So
the
the
Englishman.
the citizens of the U.S.
Yeah,
have
that's
to
what-
pay taxes.
But I'm saying that I think it, including those bound to service, which means slaves
Slaves,
who are
yeah.
bound to service,
Exactly.
and excluding Indians, not taxed. So those are the Indians who made the deal,
Right?
right? And then 3/5 of all other persons. So I guess they wouldn't be taxed either.
Right.
Right?
And remember that we're teaching our people their nationality and divine creed that they may know they are part and parcel of this said government. And know that they are not Negroes, black, colored, or whatever, which ties to those those service individuals. So once we eliminate these brands, we eliminate the pressure. Eliminating the brands is putting up the release valve. So we don't have to be subject to all these privileges that they're imposing under the guise of a benefit. When it's not really a benefit, because you guys are supposed to be paying taxes here, not us. Especially not the natural people. Right? But remember, that's the taxing without representation has to also do with the days and the bays over there that were taxing Europeans without representation and taking their ships and whatever. Hence, Treaty of Peace and Friendship to eliminate this madness that we created by enslaving these people. Who we didn't really have to go that route.
this is
We
the
just send them back where they came from.
This is
They
the
were
karma.
enslaving people, taking their boats and stuff like that. Because they're sailing in your jurisdiction. How about you just send them back?
Yes.
Right? But remember, all these practices are the practices that they adopt, that they're using against Mexicans and people trying to cross the border now. It's the exact same thing that we were doing to them. Because they know that Mexicans, Brazilians, whatever, are our brothers and sisters, and it's payback.
I think it's really like unfair when they'll advertise that, you know, you can come to America and you can have, like, you know, America's a land of milk and honey, right? And it's like they got tons of Americans here in America and they struggling, you know? And it's like the corporation them right now, who's acting as a government, have set up like fictitious, like they regulate the movements, driver's license.
That's if you consent.
That's the, but
You don't have to consent.
it's what's legislated, right? And it being
But remember,
legislated.
legislative is not executive. They're not the real authority.
Yeah, executive, when you deal with executive, it's more or less with this type of understanding, right? But with the 13th Amendment citizen understanding, your driver's license regulate your movement, right?
Yeah, but that's the purpose of it. So like if you know, okay, if they told you, right, that yeah, come get a license. But you know, when we get this license, we're gonna regulate your movement and we're gonna stop you every day, all day. We're gonna give you tickets. We're gonna impound you. We're gonna do it. You wouldn't sign up for it if they told you that that's what that was for.
No.
Will you sign up for it?
I wouldn't sign up for it.
All
because
right,
It's not.
right.
It's not benefiting me right now.
It's not benefiting anybody right now.
But
Because
if-
everybody's
if
subject
you
to
got-
it.
If you got a job as a truck driver, then yeah, it's gonna benefit you. Fabulous.
I mean,
It's a different scenario. It's basically
but it's-
the perspective of it.
it's the benefit of having a license is not a benefit, because just like you said, they're using it to regulate people's movement, which they don't have authority to do, because they themselves, as we know, aren't the government.
Yes.
So where do they get the authority
Yes.
to create a license and tell people that they have to come get this. If they're not the government. If we're really the government, then we should be the ones issuing licenses and plates and stuff like that.
Because a license is given by a sovereign
And
in terms of
license
a
is to do-
natural being.
And a license is to do something illegally, that which, isn't it something, a license is to give you to do something illegally which you couldn't do, right? A license allows you to do something that
To do
is supposed
something that you're,
that-
that
that
you're
is-
not supposed to be able to do.
do.
Right.
And driving and or traveling is a natural right.
Right, but driving's not. Driving's corporate activity. So if you're a driver, then you better have a license. But if you're a traveler, then, you know, which comes back to ambassador, public ministers, consuls, and, you know, we're talking about supreme jurisdiction.
Emissary.
Emissary, right? And once you have supreme jurisdiction, then you are the one that has the authority to say what is what. But if we don't have the people saying that that's the position, then these people are gonna assume that we didn't get the notice, that we defaulted, so now they're taking the reins and making us apply for things and contract ourselves into slavery that is supposed to be abolished, but then we're not gonna argue that. We're not gonna argue that they're practicing slavery when it's abolished. We're gonna argue why you doing this and how come you're doing this and you guys don't have the authority to do this when slavery's abolished. How are you guys putting people back in slavery with licenses and nobody's challenging that? Especially our people, because we get more tickets than anybody.
Yeah.
Nobody else doesn't get tickets like how we get tickets
That's true.
and get suspensions and all that stuff. And then you be suspended and then you still drive. For a year, 2 years, 3 years, whatever, not get stopped ever. So do you really need a license then? If you have a suspended license, and you're driving on a suspended license, and they never stop you, what do you need a license for? How much people, you know how much people out there drive without insurance right now? Because they got some ticket?
If they know how to defend it, it's okay.
No, forget about defending it.
Forget about defending it.
Forget about defending it. They don't have insurance. We could stop 20 people out there right now. Guaranteed 15 of those people don't have insurance.
They should only defend it to the injured party if that's the case. Other than that,
There's no need to defend it if you didn't injure anybody. But if you get pulled over, you know, you better explain it to do. Yeah, bro.
Back in I think it was the early 2000s, traveling. I had a driver's license.
Yeah.
And my license was suspended, expired. And I was driving my brethren's vehicle. And my brethren's vehicle he wasn't supposed to be driving the car, so the policy enforcers know his car.
Yeah.
A Honda Civic or Honda Accord, low
Yeah,
ride. They know his car.
red.
Yes, a Burgundy actually.
Yeah.
They know his car, or they know his vehicle. So they pulled me over, and they thought it was him. So I showed them my so-called driver's license, but it was expired. They ran it. They realized it wasn't him, and they said, "Okay, go on your way."
Yeah.
They didn't even tell me nothing about it's expired.
Yeah.
They were just looking for him.
Right.
And then once they realized that wasn't him,
Then hey.
they scanned it and everything. They scanned my license and everything. They said, "Oh, okay, fine."
Wasn't enough money in
Yeah,
stopping
no.
you.
Stopping you.
They wanted him.
They want him.
Okay, they knew his car.
Right.
And this is all the way in he lives in Scarborough,
Yeah.
and I was all the way at Young and Finch area.
For real. Right. So the obligation of issuing those corporate stuff doesn't reside with who's issuing it right now. Matter of fact, there's not even a Ministry of Transportation anymore. Service Canada deals with licenses now.
The trick bag gets deeper.
There's not even a Ministry of Transportation anymore that deals with licenses.
Nope.
Service Canada deals with it.
Was
And
Service
hold on a
Object?
second. Service Canada also deals with everything else. So they're tying everything together, nice little package and a ribbon and all that, so that people could have this perception of, they did that because you know, they're trying to make it more convenient, you know, so you can go everywhere to get everything in one place instead of having to go over here and then go over here
That's the
and then
difference.
go here and it ain't no different. It's still slavery, just under a different name, just under Service Canada now. Even with the blue-black license plates, blue letters, black letters, they'll tell you the black letters are for commerce. Okay, well that's what driving is. So what's the blue ones for? Oh no, that's just for the public people that have, so they have licenses. But driving implies commerce. That's why all license plates used to be black at one time. But if people don't even know that, then they're out here, they think that, you know,
So how
driving
do they go
people
about,
have blue and buses have black and trucks have black, so I guess that's just what the standard is.
so how do
But
they go about
that's not the standard.
driving around without a license?
Who's that?
The people that without a driver's license
How do they?
go around driving with a license plate.
They just pray they don't get stopped. And prayers get answered sometimes.
What happens when they get stopped?
Huh?
What happens when they get stopped?
Who knows? He had a suspended or the expired license, and they told him.
Other times they'll take
Other
you-
times
they
they'll,
take
you know,
the vehicle.
Other times they might treat you like you don't want to get treated. You know? Lastly, Act 7. All citizens must promptly attend their meetings and become part and parcel of all uplifting acts of Moorish America. Moorish Americans must pay their dues and keep in line with all necessities of Moorish America. Then you are entitled to the name of faithful. Husband, you must support your wife and children. Wife, you must obey your husband and take care of your children and look after the duties of your household. Sons and daughters must obey father and mother and be industrious and become part of the uplifting of fallen humanity. All Moorish Americans must keep their hearts and minds pure with love and their bodies clean with water. This divine covenant is from the Holy Prophet Noble Jew Ali through the guidance of his Father God Allah. You got 7 over there?
The ratification of the conventions of 9 states shall be sufficient for the establishment of this constitution between the states, so ratifying the same. Done in convention by the unanimous consent of the states present the 17th day of September in the year of our Lord 1787, and of the independence of the United States of America the 12th, in witness whereof we have hereunto subscribed our names. And then it has George Washington, President and Deputy from Virginia.
Right. Right, and closing out with same idea. You know, husband, you have certain duties you gotta do. Children, sons, daughters, you have certain duties you gotta do. Whatever, and then after you get to this level, right, then you're entitled to the name of faithful, and you exercise as such. Based on you now being brought through the ranks or whatever, now you know what the Constitution is, divine Constitution. You have the national Constitution. You have those side by side. You study them together or whatever like that. You have your Zodiac Constitution, which is a whole nother level of constitutional activity.
That's
right, and you know, it's acknowledging what Noble Jew Ali brought for us. And recognizing what it is, right? Because we read everything and we study everything, so we know what it is. It's not, we're not guessing that, well, you know, did he bring a temple for us to come pray or whatever? Did he bring a government? Did he bring, everything is in what he said. If we're part and parcel, that means he brought us government. Or he at least brought us an aspect of government for us to learn government. And then he said, you know, keep the European here long enough to teach you how to run government. And he's saying that I'm going to keep the European here long enough to teach you how to run government. Have we learned yet? It's the Europeans out there, so I guess not. They're still here, you know, living off our virtues as usual, vampiring, right? And then some of them are even coming around that they did the UCCs, that didn't work. They did this process, that didn't work. They did over here, they tried to talk to this guy over here, that didn't work. Then they realized, hold on a second.
it's nationality.
It's nationality and birthrights, but they can't really be nationals here. So they claim the state. So they claim the state as their nationality. So I'm a state national.
Which goes back to what we were just looking at with the U.S. citizen
Right, versus
and U.S. national.
right? And then that's why all of them are renouncing their U.S. citizenship.
Yeah,
Right.
because
Because
they
they
can't.
realize that that's a fraud.
Yeah,
But they want to stay here. Okay, well, if you stay here, you have to be ipso jure moris subject. You can't be a state national because
Exactly.
the states are corporate.
see?
So you can't be a U.S. national because that's a fraud. You can't be a U.S. citizen because that's a fraud. You can't be a state national
Yeah, that's
because that's a fraud. So you either have to be a, Italian American,
Right.
which is really Italian Moroccan.
Of course.
It's not, right? Chinese Moroccan,
So it's funny,
Turkish Moroccan.
before they had you admitting to being African American,
Right.
and now you've got to be admitting to be Italian American.
No, well, for them,
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
They're
No,
going-
that's what I'm
yeah,
saying.
but we
before,
can't be
no,
African
I'm
American.
saying they
Yeah.
were trying.
Yeah.
For us, they were trying to separate
Yeah,
us.
right.
Yeah.
Now they're trying to bring
Right.
themselves.
Right.
They're
They're trying
using
to-
the same. They're using the
that's
same.
the trickery in itself in terms of
Right.
us. Like they say, well, if they could call themselves Italian American, how
Yeah.
come we can't call ourselves African American?
Right.
Because you cannot be from there and from here at the same time.
Exactly.
They're from there already. They're just tying themselves into being American with it at the same time.
Right? And then people have it twisted that they're thinking Noble Ali's copying something when he said we're Moorish American, or he's copying them. No,
No.
that's the protocol.
Moors are American.
You're in America.
Yeah.
So you're gonna have to identify with being American.
Being American.
But
yes.
it's not really American because there's a South and a Central and a North. And we're not saying we're, like people in Canada aren't saying we're Turkish North Americans. They're saying they're Turkish American,
Americans.
Turkish Canadian or whatever.
Right.
So
Right?
that's
But American is Morocco,
Yeah.
Moroccan. So really they're saying that they're ipso jure moris subjects.
Yeah.
That's why they can come here and get everything that they want.
Right.
And we're here and we're suffering and we've been here. Because we don't want to be
American.
Moroccan.
Yeah, Moroccans.
We want to be whatever else that,
Somewhere
that
else.
they want to call us. But if we just accept the fact that we're American, Moroccans born in America, then we have the same status as those people from other places that come here to be something Moroccan.
Well, in fact, our status should be, in a sense, above theirs.
Yeah. Well, ultimately it is. But if they're standing up for being Moroccan,
Right.
whether it's Italian or Greek or whatever,
Right.
the point is they're standing up to be Moroccan,
Right.
which means they're saying that they're ipso jure Moorish subjects.
That's right.
They're saying that they're doing the same thing that the Sundry Free Moors did. Well, we don't want to get tried under anything other than the Constitution because we're subjects of the Emperor of Morocco. Is basically what they're saying when they say American after their European cognomen or application or whatever. They're admitting that they're Moroccans. And if they're in America, they got the right to do that because this is Morocco.
This is Morocco, yeah. Okay, so
And they're going with that, headstrong. Because they never say that they're, especially when they start realizing about the fraud and they start, just do your research on how many Europeans are renouncing their U.S. citizenship.
that's and they're doing it publicly
They're
too.
doing it publicly. And it's people who are echelon. It's not really the people who live in Toronto housing and stuff like that. It's people who are, entertainers and athletes and these people that are coming out publicly. You know what? I don't want no U.S. citizenship. I'm Swiss. I'm German.
And nobody picks up on
whatever.
that.
Right? Even Asiatics doing it. Tina Turner renounced her U.S. citizenship.
Long time ago. Diana Ross did that.
Diana Ross
Wow.
renounced their U.S. citizenship.
Charlie Sheen.
Nope. There you
Yeah.
go.
Yep, Charlie Sheen. His name's Carlos. Estevez now.
Oh yeah, because he took back his brother. Because
His brother's name.
Emilio Estevez.
Yeah.
His brother's name is
Yeah,
Estevez.
yeah.
He took that, Carlos Estevez.
Right.
Mhm.
Right.
Right.
But you know, but when you check the records, they still call him Charlie Sheen or whatever.
Fine. Call me
Right.
whatever you want to call it.
To
Yeah.
bl- blind everybody that he actually proclaimed his nationality.
Because one of the movies that he did, last movie they did, his name was Carlos
Oh,
Estevez.
it's in there. It's for real.
That's why I said, who the hell's Carlos Estevez?
Yeah.
And I checked it.
But I heard about it.
Yeah.
I heard about
I
it.
saw the
You know?
movies.
Yeah. I heard about it, but I never seen any documentation.
Yeah,
but I still
on-
see him.
on the
They're
credits.
still beating him up as Charlie Sheen. You know.
Well, yeah, on that, but
The
if you watch the
drunk.
movie on the credits,
Yeah.
Carlos Estevez.
Johnny. You know. So.
Brother Murray, where would you get, you guys have the Divine Constitution?
Yeah, it's in the package.
It's in the package?
Yeah, yeah.
All right. Any other any more questions or any final thoughts? Everybody good?
Good.
All right.
Just ask the same question. What's the difference between the three?
And I didn't do this last time. I forgot to do last time. If you could just plug everything that y'all are dealing with. So you know, since you're coming around now, so the people know that they could come to you for their nutrition and health and you know whatever else.
One second. When we
Yeah.
go ahead.
Just because we're also if you have
wanna go on
email and
camera?
stuff. Because we're also recording, so that way people outside could also, you know what I mean, get familiar, you know?
Blessed everyone.
Bless it.
Peace.
My name is Brother Amin. And basically me and my wife, we start our own naturopathic herbal medicine business. His name is Adira Herbal. And the website is www.adiroherbal.com. ADEROHERBALS.
Can you repeat that again, sorry?
The website is www.adiroherbal.
Can you spell it out?
Adero, ADERO.
He's spelling it out on the wall.
Okay.
Yeah, herbals.com. And that's one word.
Herbal or herbal?
Herbal. EAL.
Oh.
And the phone number is 647 702 6620.
Show it to the camera.
And basically, the Roots is one of the many products that we make. It's called the Black Tiger Roots. It's basically made from moringa and different nuts and barks and roots of trees, specialized in plants coming from Jamaica mainly. We also use like traditional native Moroccan herbs in the North and South America. We use herbs from the East and from Asia also. And we make stuff for diabetes, for high blood pressure, for cold and flu. We make stuff for detox, whole body detox, colon and liver detox. We have a skin salve for basically for eczema or whatever skin complaint there is. We also have a natural aphrodisiac for male and also a tincture to clean the male reproductive system. We call that one the kasha root tincture. Yeah, that's the website there.
Okay. Let's show it. Let's show it. Why not?
Today I only brought the roots because Brother Kujo said he would like a box, so I only brought the roots today. Well, as Brother Kujo said, I'm coming around now, so probably next Wednesday or next Sunday again, you guys will see me here. And whenever there is a seminar or a lecture going on, I'll be one of the vendors there also. So, nice to meet my brothers and sisters. You know, like to see the work going on. Like to see my brother educating the people, because our people need this education in this time. To know about self, you know, and to know, even as Brother Kujo said, to learn government. To know how to run a parliament, to know how to be in parliament and even have our own government. So I like to see these works in progress.
Can I ask a quick question?
Sure.
Do you do your business out of, like, it's a home-based business, or you have a storefront?
Right now we don't have a storefront right now. We just have a place where we manufacture from.
Okay, okay.
We used to do our vending at Jane and Finch Mall or any local mall. We used to just get a table and set up inside the mall or the flea market. But now we're basically just doing it from home now. Doing deliveries and doing online, buy online and we ship it to you.
Okay, okay.
But basically, if anyone living in Toronto, Mississauga, Scarborough area,
you'll deliver.
I will come and deliver.
Okay, okay, all right.
Yes,
Okay, so Islam, my brothers and sisters.
I'm interested in the high blood pressure thing here, King.
The high blood pressure?
You definitely want.
All right.
Yes.
Okay, so
Yes.
this is
So,
for the box.
We just close out the prayer.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
the high blood pressure thing. Okay.
The roots, basically I do a box wholesale. I sell a box for 40 wholesale. But single roots is $5.
Yeah.
And I have the 750 mil for 25 mil.
That's the one that we had at, the one that we had at the event.
If you're at Nobuju Ali event.
Yes, yes. Yeah, we do. Yeah, yeah. I didn't get a chance to come over to your table, and we were at the top. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yes, King. So I'm interested in the high blood pressure thing. I'm having much more. So
Let's just, we'll close out quick
Let's
fast.
close out. Let's close out and then go.
all right.
5 on the left, 2 on the right. Allah the Father of the universe.
Allah, the Father of the universe,
Father of love.
Father of love,
Truth.
truth, peace,
Freedom.
freedom,
And justice.
and justice.
Allah is my protector.
Allah is my
My
protector,
guide.
my guide,
And my salvation.
and my salvation.
By night.
By night
And by day.
and by day,
Through his holy prophet.
through his holy prophet,
Noble Ali.
Noble Ali,
Islam.
Islam.
And next week we got Brother Jabbar. Brother Jabbar Games Ill, Skype. And the Skype lectures entitled What the MSTA Is, What the MSTA Is Not. All right? And that's it. Islam.
Islam.
All right, bro.
So, definitely.
What's your name, bro?
I'm alright.